Hello and welcome to another installment of Liberty Nation Swamponomics videocast. I'm Andrew Moran, Ellen's economics correspondent. Each week, I dive into the moors of top economic news stories and fish out compelling narratives, or I retrieve fallacies that have been accepted as conventional wisdom by the swamp creatures for years. This week, will natural gas be President Joe Biden's next energy fiasco? Crude oil has captured all the headlines this year as West Texas Intermediate and Brent contracts had rallied to as much as $130 a barrel on the military conflict in Eastern Europe, strong European demand, and lackluster output in the US. But there is another energy calamity in the making that could trigger some interesting times heading into the summer and perhaps even into the winter. Natural gas has been one of the world's top performing commodities this year, climbing as much as 120% before sliding to a year-to-date gain of about 80%. Over the last 12 months, natural gas prices have surged 138%. Although natural gas plummeted from investors taking profits early, the energy commodity is still poised to continue its upward trajectory amid strengthening demand, mediocre production, and tight storage levels. Recent storage data from the Energy Information Administration show that US stockpiles are 428 billion cubic feet lower than last year, totaling 1.5 trillion cubic feet. This is all nearly 300 billion cubic feet below the 5-year average. Indeed, the gap between current inventory levels and the 5-year average fell to 16.8%. Liberty Nation had started warning about the possibility of a substantial increase in natural gas prices early this year because of supply-demand imbalances. But market analysts are now beginning to be worried too, especially now that Russia's energy products are being shunned by the West and the US is diverting its liquefied natural gas or LNG exports to Europe. Europe is in desperate need of natural gas, with its inventories way below their 5-year average. The region is winding down its imports of Russian oil and gas, meaning that it will need to depend more on America for its energy security. The problem? Domestic supplies are falling and exploration output are not keeping up, meaning that it could be a challenging time for American energy firms to satisfy both US and foreign demand. In fact, some industry observers believe the US administration will attempt to encourage several major Asian markets, such as Japan, to ship their purchases of American LNG to the Eurozone. Whether this happens or not remains to be seen, but current conditions mean one certain factor: the weather. The United States needs it to be a cooler than normal summer and a warmer than normal winter to rebalance global energy markets. It was a brutal winter in North America and Europe, which caused exceptional heating demand for homes and businesses. The Northern Hemisphere needs some relief this year, but early weather models suggest that this might not be the case in the coming months. New long-range weather forecast from the NOAA suggests that it is going to be a hot summer for much of the United States this year. For now, the good news is that early spring temperatures have been bearable enough for stocks to replenish at modest levels, according to the latest EIA data. But will it be enough to ensure inventory levels do not fall to critical levels amid greater exports to Europe? Well, the bad news is that the EIA also recently warned that US natural gas production will steadily decline because of a lack of infrastructure and pipelines, even with greater demand. Today, the US produces all of the natural gas that it uses, but can it continue to produce all of the natural gas that it consumes and that the rest of the world imbibes too? This will be the conundrum for the rest of the year. That's it for me this week. Please read my full Swamponomics column where I discuss Disney stock, inflation eating away at retirement, and free money for Baltimore residents. Thank you.
We're doing it for real, really real. Liberty Nation.
And Jeff Charles, contributor for LibertyNation.com.
I think we're starting to make an impact. Liberty style, fight for freedom.
Daily tracking poll sponsored by Liberty Nation for Thursday.
Mentioned by Dan Bongino, Rasmussen, Jordan Peterson, and
I
others.
can do it again if you want me to.
Cited in Mark Levin's American Marxism.
I think we're starting to make a really big impact. Get noticed. We're doing it. Rock on. I'm gone.